Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The fielding position of the player on a baseball team who is stationed at first of the bases in the infield, counting counterclockwise from home plate. Indicating the beginning unit in a series. Serving to set in motion. His first, or maiden, speech in Congress. Serving to begin. The first verse. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Ranking above all others. Was first in her class. Prominently forward. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. The first element in a countable series. The first of the month. Before anything else. First we must consider the garter snake. The first or highest in an ordering or series. He wanted to be the first. An honors degree of the highest class. Highest in pitch or chief among parts or voices or instruments or orchestra sections. First soprano. Preceding all others in time or space or degree. The first house on the right. The fielding position of the player on a baseball team who is stationed at first of the bases in the infield, counting counterclockwise from home plate. The base that must be touched first by a base runner in baseball. The initial stage in accomplishing something. We didn't get to first base with that approach. Indicating the beginning unit in a series. Serving to set in motion. The magazine's inaugural issue. An address delivered at an inaugural ceremony, especially by a United States president. The ceremonial induction into a position. Occurring at or characteristic of a formal investiture or induction. The president's inaugural address. Serving to set in motion. The initiative phase in the negotiations. Readiness to embark on bold new ventures. The first of a series of actions. Serving to set in motion. An initiatory step toward a treaty. Serving to set in motion. His first, or maiden, speech in Congress. Cricket, an over in which no runs are scored. An unmarried girl, especially a virgin. Serving to begin. The beginning canto of the poem. The time at which something is supposed to begin. The place where something begins, where it springs into being. The Italian beginning of the Renaissance. The act of starting something. He was responsible for the beginning of negotiations. The event consisting of the start of something. The beginning of the war. The first part or section of something. It was a dark and stormy night, is a hackneyed beginning for a story. The time at which something is supposed to begin. An academic exercise in which diplomas are conferred. The act of starting something. The time at which something is supposed to begin. She knew from the get-go that he was the man for her. The time at which something is supposed to begin. A start given to contestants. I was there with my parents at the kickoff. Football. A kick from the center of the field to start a football game or to resume it after a score. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Make up for. His skills offset his opponent's superior strength. A natural consequence of development. Structure where a wall or building narrows abruptly. Compensate for or counterbalance. Offset deposits and withdrawals. A plate makes an inked impression on a rubber blanketed cylinder, which in turn transfers it to the paper. A compensating equivalent. A horizontal branch from the base of plant that produces new plants from buds at its tips. Cause, printed matter, to transfer or smear onto another surface. Create an offset in. Offset a wall. Produce by offset printing. Offset the conference proceedings. The time at which something is supposed to begin. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Get off the ground. Who started this company? Bulge outward. The time at which something is supposed to begin. They got an early start. Begin work or acting in a certain capacity, office or job. Start a new job. Get going or set in motion. We simply could not start the engine. A line indicating the location of the start of a race or a game. Have a beginning, in a temporal, spatial, or evaluative sense. Prices for these homes start at $250,000. A signal to begin, as in a race. The starting signal was a green light. Bring into being. A turn to be a starter, in a game at the beginning. He got his start because one of the regular pitchers was in the hospital. Set in motion, cause to start. The U.S. started a war in the Middle East. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Who will start? Begin an event that is implied and limited by the nature or inherent function of the direct object. She started the soup while it was still hot. A sudden involuntary movement. He awoke with a start. Begin or set in motion. I start at 8 in the morning. Have a beginning characterized in some specified way. Leave. Move or jump suddenly, as if in surprise or alarm. She startled when I walked into the room. The advantage gained by beginning early, as in a race. With an hour's start he will be hard to catch. The act of starting something. Play in the starting lineup. The beginning of anything. It was off to a good start. The time at which something is supposed to begin. Ranking above all others. The foremost figure among marine artists. Prominently forward. He put his best foot foremost. Preceding all others in spatial position. The foremost compartment of the ship. Before anything else. Situated closest to the bow. The foremost compartment of the ship. Ranking above all others. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. No longer sufficient. Supplies are low. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. Make a low noise, characteristic of bovines. Used of sounds and voices, low in pitch or frequency. An air mass of lower pressure, often brings precipitation. A low moved in overnight bringing sleet and snow. Subdued or brought low in condition or status. Brought low. Of the most contemptible kind. A low stunt to pull. Filled with melancholy and despondency. Low or inferior in station or quality. A lowly parish priest. Very low in volume. A low murmur. British political cartoonist, born in New Zealand, who created the character Colonel Blimp, 1891 to 1963. A low level or position or degree. The stock market fell to a new low. Less than normal in degree or intensity or amount. Low prices. Literal meanings. Being at or having a relatively small elevation or upward extension. Low ceilings. Unrefined in character. Low comedy. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. The first element in a countable series. The first element in a countable series. The first or highest in an ordering or series. A reference to yourself or myself, etc. Take care of number one, means to put your own interests first. Before anything else. Before anything else. Before anything else. An honors degree of the highest class. The number designating place in an ordered sequence. Being or denoting a numerical order in a series. Ordinal numbers. Of or relating to a taxonomic order. Family and ordinal names of animals and plants. An open or empty space in or between things. There was a small opening between the trees. A recognized sequence of moves at the beginning of a game of chess. He memorized all the important chess openings. An aperture or hole that opens into a bodily cavity. A possible alternative. An entrance equipped with a hatch, especially a passageway between decks of a ship. The first of a series of actions. The first performance, as of a theatrical production. The opening received good critical reviews. A ceremony accompanying the start of some enterprise. A vacant or unobstructed space that is man-made. They left a small opening for the cat at the bottom of the door. Becoming open or being made open. The opening of his arms was the sign I was waiting for. First or beginning. The memorable opening bars of Beethoven's Fifth. Opportunity especially for employment or promotion. There is an opening in the sales department. The act of opening something. The ray of light revealed his cautious opening of the door. The initial part of the introduction. The opening established the basic theme. Canadian physiologist, born in the United States, who assisted F. G. Banting in research leading to the discovery of insulin, 1899 to 1978. Comparative and superlative of well, wiser or more advantageous and hence advisable. The White House thought it best not to respond. From a position of superiority or authority. father knows best. The person who is most outstanding or excellent. Someone who tops all others. He could beat the best of them. Get the better of. The goal was to best the competition. Superlative of good, having the most positive qualities. The best film of the year. The supreme effort one can make. They did their best. Representing or constituting an original type after which other similar things are patterned.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.